Rise and shine, wild ones. It's Bernadette. And I'm here with your pick a card tarot reading for Saturday, March 6, 2021. And the only thing I can say about this reading today is this should say it all. It has been the most otherworldly, kooky, you cannot make this stuff up. Did I just see a gray? Did I just see a reptilian? What did I just see? Like, it is, the alien thing is like, that's, it didn't hit me till this morning when I pulled. Okay, so the moon card, the owl, has come out for y'all this morning, right? And I just can't even wrap my head around how powerful this reading is for y'all today. And you know, me too, we're all in this together, right? And it's exciting. I'm like, really? But it's kooky, because what the heck does the moon tarot card and the owl have to do with aliens or outer space or going beyond the moon or anything? Well, because Spirit, as nutty as this will sound, Spirit sent this card, and I started going through all the things that I know, which is pretty in depth about the moon card and the owl, and the animal ally said, no, this is just to get you to here, and now we're going to take you further up. And I'm like, okay. So I just sat in the meditation, and my spirit lifted up and out of me, and it went out into the galaxy, and then it went past the stars, and it went past the moon, and it went past all of these things. And I'm like looking around, and now I'm like watching spaceships go by. I know this was my mind. I know when I saw the cantina scene from Star Wars, I know that was my mind. It wasn't part of the message going on. But then I was like, well, what does all of this have to okay, can y'all cut to the chase? Because I'm super confused. Now, I'm having a good time out here. I mean, I don't believe there's so many of you. If you're watching my channel, okay, you believe in psychics and mediums and spirit guides and tarot cards, but you don't believe in aliens, we gotta call me at my office. We'll talk you through it. But you know, listen, if you're in for a penny, if you're in for a pound. And so part of the message of this today is that you know, don't, my mom used to say to me, if you stay, and this was a quote from, I think it might have been Benjamin Franklin or somebody, but I remembered this as long, and I'll remember it way past. And the quote is, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I believe that's true. And I've watched it with my own eyes, not only in my own life, you know, when I was younger and not making the best decisions, but I've seen it, you know, through clients and friends and family and that kind of thing. But the thing about this alien connection and owls and the moon and all of this. So one of the biggest things of this reading today is that you're being, and it's crazy because, you know, this is third eye chakra day, right? And oh God, my scalp is itching. And when my scalp itches, it's always my crown chakra that just gets to and I know it's about the third eye, but my third eye is so dang open, it's probably smiling at you and sticking its tongue out and whatever. I'm just like, you're being asked to believe the disbelievable or the unbelievable. And that is in every area of your life. So it's you, if there's something you want to do and you don't believe you can. And let's be really specific about this. This is about things. Let me just tell you what I'm being told. And you guys are going to be like, Bernadette's gone off the reservation. But I haven't, because it's not me. It's what I'm being told. You're being called. That's the bottom line. If you are watching this video right now, you are being called. Surely as people know that they're supposed to be a paramedic, or they know that they're supposed to be a baker, or they know that they're supposed to be a teacher, or they know they were meant to work with mechanics, or you get it. And you hear that a lot in religious communities when people are called, right? When they're called to do a certain service, called to do a certain thing. Like what I do is my calling. I know it is. And you're being called, but you're being asked to believe the unbelievable. So for instance, let's say that you want to start a metaphysical business. Let's say that you want to start, I I talked to 4 people last week, 4, in the span of 36 hours, who all want to have a sacred center. Now, some of, a couple of them, they wanted like a big Megillah, right? Like a multi-million-dollar whatever. And a few people were just like, I just want 2 or 3 offices and a really nice waiting room and this and that. And they're being called, but they didn't see it that way. They felt it that way, but they couldn't give voice to it. And as we worked through the reading, then it was like, well, that's why that never worked out. And that's why that never worked out. And that's why I keep bumping my head up against this, because when I was looking at all those spaceships, no lie, y'all, no lie. And when I get to the next part, you may never watch one of my, you may never watch anything that I do ever again. But please don't take it out on the spirit animals. Remember, do good for animals. But I was looking at all the different shapes and sizes and colors. And it got me to thinking that they're all there. I didn't see any, listen, for real, I didn't see any Star Wars stuff going on, shooting things at each other and this and that. And the serenity and the peace that struck me, I teared up. I don't remember the last time I felt that kind of serenity and peace. But I was able to breathe the deepest breath in my lungs, because what I looked at, I thought to myself, this is how it's supposed to be on Earth. All the shapes and all the colors and all the sizes and all the vehicles, and using this as a vehicle, right? They should all be just like getting along and respecting each other's space, because listen, there are no roads up there where the alien craft go on around. They just kind of navigate around each other and everything. Nobody bumps into each other, and it looks just fine. For what little I saw of it, I wasn't up there too long, because believe me, I've never had this experience before, and believe me, I know how crazy I sound. I am not ignorant of that. I am not. Wait till I get to the next part. So there's something about you're being called to create your own sacred temple. That's just the word I kept hearing. Now, in fairness, so you all know, I had a conversation with somebody yesterday about a temple, and I was directed to look into Ezekiel 41. I was like, what's that? And they're like, it's in the Bible, Bernadette. And I'm like, well, okay, like I'm going to know that. And though I try to read as much as I can from every faith and every doctrine and every spirituality and whatever, I didn't know. And then I took to reading it, and then I asked for help on Facebook for people to explain it to me so I could understand why this was being shown to me. And I processed through it and everything. But it wasn't even in my consciousness. It might have been in my subconscious this morning when I was told, because how I do it is I shuffle, and then when I feel it, I stop and I pick a card from the top of the deck, right? And so I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Interesting energy for this Saturday, because, Saturdays, it's all about go, 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 get it done, get your stuff done. And I was like, well, that's a really interesting card to come for today. And then was taken up and up and up. It shocked the Peewallican jazzies out of me. Here's what also happened. I asked the universe, okay, I understand that, but the animal always has something to do with the reading. What the heck do owls have to do with aliens and outer space and building sacred temples and this and that? I'll tell you, because I'm a geek. I'm the queen of the internet, man. I Googled. Listen to this, y'all. I Googled owls and alien connection. Here's what I found. I gotta read it to you because I just couldn't wrap my head around this. So in 2015, this old boy named Mike Cleland wrote a book called The Messengers. And the foreword is from Whitley Strieber. Now, any of you that do any kind of, like alien study or that kind of thing, and I know a bunch of y'all do. Don't tell me you don't, because I know you do. I know it because I get the emails and whatnot. But Whitley Strieber, that old boy's got some kind of history. And I will also tell you, you'll what side am I on? You'll see the picture over here. A couple years ago, I was in Sedona, And my friend that you'll see in the picture that I was with, she, and the only reason I'm using the picture is you can't see who she is behind our goggles, but she wanted nothing more than for us to go on a UFO sighting thing. Okay. I cannot possibly, there's nothing that I know about science. It's not like I'm a scientist, okay? But I even called some friends of mine that work, NASA-y kind of things. And I was like, hey, listen, I need some 411 on this. They couldn't explain it either. What we saw through this, because the gal that gave this tour, she invests in she's very serious about this. She's convinced she's an abductee. She knows lots of other people that are abductees. You read Whitley Strieber's stories. So she's got military grade night vision that let you see things. I was like, in my head, I knew all that stuff went on up there. The sparkles and the light and the whatever. Not alien ship related, but y'all, on my mother's river, on the life of all my animals, and I say my mother's river because she wasn't buried. She wanted her cremains sprinkled over the Rainbow River, and we did. On my own honor, on my own soul, I saw things that cannot be explained. Not a lot, just a couple, except for at the very end. We'd been out there. It was cold. I was tired. And I was like, okay, I get it. I believe in it. This has been fun. I got to go. I need some hot cocoa and I need a bed. And there's this thing that this gal does where she gives you these flashlights that are like long range flashlights. And she teaches you to flicker them, to try to get attention. And, it makes sense to me. If you're into anything quantum at all, I am fascinated by everything quantum, right? But if you're into anything quantum at all, you'll have read at this point, I've got to believe, that alien ships are thought to be quantum ships where the ship is alive and it actually can be controlled with the mind, right? That might be really out there for some of y'all, but if you start reading up on the science that we regular people know is available to us today, or what we're told is being studied in different governments and different, private sectors all around the world, like quantum computers, it ain't so far-fetched at all, and I believe that it exists. Okay, so having said that, so she was like, okay, we'll talk to them with your mind. My friend and I are like, okay, we're psychic mediums, and we're on it. And at the very end, right when we were packing it up, a bunch of us that were there were like, I don't know, 15 of us or so. We were like, okay, well, let's everybody focus on, could we please get the big sign from you? And the big sign is, like, if you see these lights that are moving way faster than, and way brighter than like the, y'all, what are those things? Those, come on now, you know what they are. I know they're satellites. Thank you. They can't possibly be satellites. Well, the pinnacle of all of this, right, is that a ship, an alleged ship, will go along this way and then go and burst into light and just disappear through a portal, which is not the same because these things move this way, and they can move up and they can move down and they can move this, and stars can't do that. Stars are not going to move like that if they burst. They're not going to do that. The satellites are not going to do that. And even military planes that fly way above that you don't know about until you see them, they're not going to do that. They can't. Well, maybe they can, but chances are they're not. So she had explained that doesn't happen a lot, but you ask for it, you ask for it, you ask for it. And all of the sudden, right as we were like getting ready to do this, we were all looking up like this, and it happened. This alleged ship said and took off and went through, and it disappeared like that through what we thought was a portal. Here's what Al has to do with this. So this old boy, Mike Cleland, he's got this whole supposition of the connection between aliens and owls. Now, I haven't read this book, and I'm going to buy it. Unfortunately, it's $45 on Amazon, but I'm going to buy it. because the reviews, now there are some reviews that obviously, they're taking this old boy down. But mostly the reviews are from people who are credible, credible alientologists or whatever. And this book is highly regarded. And I'm always up for knowing more about what someone thinks. And here's what I can tell you. I do not personally know Whitley Strieber. However, I do know someone who does personally know Whitley Strieber. And based on what little I know via this person, it is my understanding that Whitley Strieber is an incredibly credible, honorable, very realistic person. And if this person was able to get their foreword written by Whitley, I've got to believe that Whitley would not put his name on something that was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Now, I don't know that to be true. It's an opinion, and opinions are not facts. But what I do believe is, owls are just not like other birds. They're not. There's something so mysterious, just mysteriously different about their presence, about their power, about their energy. And we all have our favorite birds. Some of us don't even resonate with bird as a spirit totem or power animal. You just don't resonate with birds. And if I was picking an animal, I got to say, birds kind of mystify me. I don't feel as close to them, as connected to them emotionally. Spiritually, I feel very connected to them. But I don't feel as connected emotionally to them, right? But owl, oh yeah. I don't know anybody that doesn't have a fascination with owls. And if you ask people why, they're like, I don't know. Most people can't really tell you. But I sense it as, when I was growing up in the woods and it was nighttime, you heard owls, okay. But when you had occasion to see an owl and I didn't know it when I was a kid, but they just used to make me feel so humbled and make me feel like I was in the presence of this greatness. And I really don't believe that's because as a kid, you always read, owls are wise and it's this, and it's this. And so there is a little bit of indoctrination and training that goes along with that. But I don't, because even today I feel that way. And I had occasion to work with an owl, and that experience made me feel kind of like I was in another world, that we were not on the earth anymore, or it was a more expanded, like literally no buildings, no fences, no roads, no nothing, but just earth as it used to be, but still with all the present things, cool things that we have available to us. It was just bizarre. And I've never really been able to explain it. That's the best I got. What all of this has to do with you all is, it may not be for you today about actual aliens from outer space. It may be about an idea that is alien to you. It may be about a person, a feeling, a this, a that is alien to you. And you're being asked via owl to connect with it. And, owls are very famous for being able to see through the darkness. They're also you can't record them, their sounds when they fly. They've got a special set of wings and a way that they've adapted. They can't, that sound that you should be able to hear when their wings are displacing air, it's not possible. Nothing records it. And you certainly can't hear it with the human ear. So there's something silent. It's really twofold. You're being asked to be silent about this thing until you're sure. And, until you've uncovered what the alien is to you and you make friends with it and you step into it and you're being called to do your sacred work, to create your own sacred temple, whether that's a temple inside or it's a temple outside. And even though the moon card itself is about not being sure, it's about kind of a fragmented kind of, it kind of cuts both ways with the moon card. you're being asked to only focus on the moon phases where there is new growth, new development, the birth of new things. Not the full moon as it is in the card, which is not unusual because cards themselves, tarot cards themselves, even though based on the Rider-Waite system, which is the system that I work with, in my own deck, if you're practicing intuitive tarot, then you very well might. I do when I teach. That's how I teach, and it's how I think of it. I think of the card as a portal, and in that portal are all the symbols and the cards, and the symbolism of the card, the meaning of the tarot card. But as you travel through that portal, you're very likely to see other things. It's a portal. It's just a portal. And today that portal said and sucked me right up into. Y'all know how this sounds. I do. But let's support each other. Let's have a real conversation about aliens, and let's have a conversation about how ours very well may be, messengers of aliens, or messengers of outer space, or messengers at this moment through this book, through this reading, through this. It may not be about those aliens or those. It may be about what's seemingly alien to you. You're being asked to take a look at and realize that. I don't hate to make this joke. If I'm being honest, I love making this joke. I'm glad it popped in my head. The truth is out there. Cue the music. And so I'm just so gobsmacked at this reading this morning. That's why I'm just keeping blabbing, and not trying to keep this short, because there's nothing short about this. This is for real deal stuff. This is a for real deal, serious message that I've just never gotten before, ever anything like this. So go on over to gatheringofmystics.com. The forums are officially open. Woo, 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 woo. Some of us has already posted on there. I was fixing something on there the other day, and I had to take down the barrier. And it was late, y'all. I was tired, and I just left it up, and I just left the barrier down. Oh, I don't want to call y'all out, the first people that popped over there, but I am so grateful that you did. I am just like, y'all wanted it. And the other day, I think I said a couple days ago or something, I said, I'm pretty sure it'll be open tomorrow or today or whatever. Y'all checked. You checked. And you joined, and we've been having some fun discussions. Not a lot, but, we're just open and we're getting ramped up. But anybody that wants to talk about this alien thing, maybe you've been abducted, maybe you've had an experience, maybe you think you've had an experience, maybe you're not sure, maybe you want, some other people to talk about it with. Because let me just tell you this. Under no circumstances could I ever tell you who, but the person that I know to be the single most grounded, logical, rational human being that walks this planet today has had an experience. And it took this person a long time to admit it to themselves, to understand it, to be open to it, to whatever it. And I even can't tell you the story, but that was my moment when I was like, yep, that's real. And you may be one of those people. And if you are, remember, again, this is Third Eye Chakra Day. And so there's a great safe place. I've got to believe there are forums on this stuff all over the internet. I don't frequent them. I don't know them, and there got to be. But you are very, very welcome on Gathering of Mystics, and we'll talk with you about this, because I just know within the collective of the wild ones, of the wild pack, there've got to be at least a couple dozen of you out there that think of these things and know these things, and you may be hesitant to talk about them because, not people will look at you like you've grown a second head. They will, or like your third eye is really right there open, right, and eating Skittles or something. So I love you guys. I most sincerely hope you don't think I've lost it, and you come back and you subscribe to my YouTube channel. At the very least, support my Kickstarter and get your copy of the Arcane. Don't hold me against the animal kingdom, because they're the ones who told it to me. So commune with Al today. Take yourself up past the moon. If you're going to get in moon energy, make sure it's a crescent moon where you are, you know, creating new things. You're being called. You're being called to create a sacred temple. And maybe the sacred temple is inside of you. Maybe it's outside of you. Maybe it's both. But I Swanee, y'all. I swear to Swanee. We say that here in the South. That is the message that came through today. I've got nothing else to say except for Nanu. I'm sorry. Listen, y'all know it's a defense system with me now that I got to turn everything super serious into a joke at some point. But, Nanu. I love y'all. I do. I thank you for your infinite patience with me and with yourselves. Do good for animals. And above all else, stay wild.